begin by looking at the opinion poll figures as released by INFOTRAK this morning. A survey of 1,500 respondents conducted between February 24th and last Thursday, 2nd March, indicates that Jubilee is the most popular party with 36.4% support, followed by ODM at a distant 22%. Wiper is third in line with only 3.4%. Ford Kenya fourth with 1% support, followed by Chama Cha Mashinani at 0.8%. Amani National Congress is next with 0.5%, and then Maendeleo Chap Chap with 0.4%. KANU follows with 0.3% and PNU at 0.2%. In the regions, Jubilee has a strong control of Nairobi, Rift Valley, Central and Eastern regions, while ODM controls the rest, including Coast, Northeastern, Western and Nyanza regions. Jubilee Party is also the most popular coalition with 40% backing. NASA comes in second with 32%, while 28% of respondents say they have yet to decide which side to support. On the National Super Alliance, Raila Odinga is indicated as the most preferred presidential candidate with 68% backing him. Kalonzo is the second most preferred with 13% support, while Musalia Mudavdi is third with 12%, and Wetangula has a 2% backing, with 4% respondents saying they do not have any preference for any of the NASA co-principals. Those are the figures coming in from the latest INFOTRAK survey. And here with us to put more perspective into this opinion poll, Jared Okello, political analyst, now joins us here on Weekend at 1. Jared, many thanks for joining us on the show. So this is the latest INFOTRAK survey, and very interesting figures being given there. Jubilee Party seems to be leading. But first of all, your take on the figures given.
Well, firstly, thank you, Michelle, for hosting me. Secondly, even though we have not been updated on the kind of variables that were used to arrive at the findings, both dependent and independent, but in the interest of hindsight, I would say that personally I do not have any problem with those figures. This is emanating from the fact that, firstly, Uhuru Kenyatta is already a Jubilee presidential candidate, and he can only control a paltry 36% against an opposition that is yet to arrive at its candidate. Right. And for Raila Odinga to marshal 24% against Uhuru's 36%, even though he's still not yet declared the flag bearer, yes. And besides that fact, he has not even paraded his manifesto to the public, is a testament that Jubilee is on a warpath with the opposition, and all indications are out there that people have lost confidence on the governance of Jubilee administration, and hence getting ready to go home. Of paramount interest also is that when you look at the total findings from the INFOTRAK, they did put Jubilee coalition at 40% and NASA coalition at 32%. Now remember that NASA launched itself 2 weeks ago when they were unveiling their route or their path towards victory in August at the Okoa Kenya headquarters. Now, an opposition that has existed in structure for only 2 weeks can marshal 32% against a government or a ruling party that has been in power since 2013.
Is that really very surprising, considering, I mean, the core principles we're talking about did not launch their political ambitions 2 weeks ago. They have been in politics for quite a while.
Well, they have been in politics for quite a while, but that wasn't one of the indicators or one of the variables that were put for test. What was indeed put for test was the popularity of the coalitions under that structure. And Jubilee, has been in existence since 2012. Right. As a matter of fact, could only get 40% against the opposition that, in terms of its composition, has only existed for 2 weeks. So you can only imagine that once the opposition puts its foot on the ground, firstly, to declare its presidential candidate, and number two, to parade its manifesto to the public, you can only imagine what will happen to the Jubilee administration.
But how close really is what is being represented by the opinion polls and what is actually happening on the ground? Does it reflect on the ground? Because opinion polls have been part of Kenyan politics for years, but just recently, the U.S. presidential election really put opinion polls to question. Many of them predicting that Hillary Clinton would win the presidency, and that was reversed by the final result.
Well, precisely so. I think for the most part, opinion polls have been trusted. They have, to a larger extent, given the picture of what exists on the ground. It was everybody's shocker that the U.S. presidential elections that did put Hillary Clinton in all the successive polls as the leader. Later on, when the ballot was cast on the 8th of November, a different result was found. Of course, there are many questions that have been reeling around the U.S. elections, including interference by certain foreign bodies. So, but that aside, I think INFOTRAK, to give them benefit of hindsight, as I did say, to a larger degree, have put exactly what therefore appears at the moment. But you have to also know that even though it is claimed Jubilee still controls a better chunk of Eastern Province, the opposition is working around the clock to unclench that grasp from the Jubilee. And you did see what happened in Rift Valley to begin with, in Eldoret. The kind of ecstasy and joy that radiated on people's faces as they got the message from NASA principals is a testament that things are actually shifting. You saw what happened in Meru. You look at the turnout of people who then came to attend the rally, but you don't talk about the figures per se without the reception from the people. And they were quite receptive of the message, quite receptive of the people who were representing NASA Brigade. And I think in due course, things are going to be totally different from what has been painted by the INFOTRAK. But again, quite fundamentally, once the opposition, and I think everything is being calculated around timing, because timing is an important aspect in politics. But when the right time will come and the manifesto will be launched and a presidential flag bearer shall be announced, I think there will be a complete shift on what you see. But again, if you allow me to touch on Rift Valley, we have seen what is happening in Narok. There has been, a kind of gravitation towards the opposition. You saw it in Kajiado. We have seen it in places such as Baringo, Bomet, Turkana, Samburu, and many other places within the Rift Valley. So even though they may say, mathematically speaking, that the Jubilee administration controls a particular figure over and above what the opposition controls, but the figures are actually thinning. And, within the shortest possible space of time, I believe it will be a total different ballgame.
All right, and we'll be discussing this in a bit more detail, especially what this opinion poll means for the process of choosing a flag bearer for the opposition outfit. NASA political analyst Jared Okello.